The first question is for Professor Das. It is about AI in microbiology research and the infectious disease response. So, Professor Das, from your perspective as a microbiology and the cell biology expert, how is AI revolutionizing pathogen detection and, for example, rapid identification of novel microbes and drug resistance prediction at the cellular and the molecular levels? How can we translate these AI-driven basic research outcomes into clinical tools for hospitals to improve infectious disease early warning and treatment efficacy? And what gaps you think still exist in bridging basic science, AI technology, and the clinical infectious disease management?
Thank you, moderator. Before I come to answering your questions, let me tell you that I'm a trained molecular virologist and working at the Indian Institute of Science for past 28 years, studying a range of RNA viruses and trying to understand their biology and pathogenesis. And during COVID time, actually I was coordinating the Indian SARS-CoV-2 sequence genome consortium called INSACOG, which involves 77 institutes with sequencing infrastructure and the huge hospital network. And what we have actually learned very hard way, that what is the importance of developing tools, developing algorithms, modifying the sequencing pipelines to get the real output to predict the consequences of the emerging variants. And since then, now almost 5-6 years gone, now we have this AI using for the digital surveillance and for efficient tracking transmissions, new pathogen identifications. Situation is much better. But we feel that it is very important to have the metagenomic analysis, the metagenomic crosstalk between the microbiome and the genome sequences. Because considering the huge variations in the host determinant, the same pathogen may not be so effective in different populations. So it's very important to have the microbiome profiling, and there actually AI can help us. But I also agree what we heard yesterday also, that this AI is still have some of these black box interpretation problems. I think soon or later, I think we'll try to improve much better explainable AI, which we call XAI, and that would be more handy for us. Regarding detections of new pathogen, now we have these metagenomic sequences, MNGS. We have started using MALDI-TOF to identify the peptides and the proteins to identify new pathogens immediately. We are also making use of Raman spectroscopy to find out the chemicals and then the compositions of the organisms to identify them. So it's essentially, we are now geared up for any future pandemics with this advent of the AI and all the tools that we have it now. Regarding the drug resistance, it is still possible to use this integrated approach of the sequencing to predict whether this variant will be susceptible to the drug or not. It is important to integrate, again, the mass spec and MALDI-TOF to find out whether these subtle variations in the mutations can lead to the structural differences, and that might actually lead to the resistances. So we are actually gaining into this, but ultimately all this artificial intelligence needs a natural intelligence. There should be a human in the loop. There should be clinicians in the loop who can actually verify the output that is coming out from the AI-driven. So I think the future is very bright, but we just need to get into that there.
Yeah, thank you, Professor Das. I think we are lucky that the COVID is already behind us, but your work, in the sequencing technology, I think absolutely will help us to deal with future infection disease. Right. And I forgot to remind the audience that feel free to use translator, because I will mix Chinese and English, and just for the benefits of our Chinese friends here in the room. So next question will go to President Wu and Ho. So I will ask the question first in Chinese, and I will briefly translate into English. So 吴院长、侯院长，就是你们的医院分别在专科诊疗和区域医疗引领方面表现卓越，在将人工智能融入诊断、住院管理等核心流程时，如何平衡人工智能带来的效率提升与临床诊疗自主性之间的矛盾？那在扩大人工智能应用规模的过程中，最突出的运营瓶颈是什么？ So the question actually is about institutional AI integration and operational efficiency. So your hospitals, President Wu and Ho, excel in specialized care and regional medical leadership, respectively, when integrating AI into core processes. For example, diagnosis, inpatient management. How do you resolve conflicts between AI-driven efficiency and clinical autonomy? What are the most prominent operational bottlenecks in scaling AI applications? So President Wu, you may go first.
Okay, I try to answer this question in English. Firstly, about the conflict, I think AI is a co-pilot and not a captain. AI help us find the problem faster, but the doctor makes the final decision. So, for example, in our endoscopy center, AI highlights the lesion, but the doctor decides how to treat it. So, AI just supports the doctor. The AI does not replace the doctor. About the bottleneck, the biggest challenge is the workflow integration. If the AI software requires too much clinics, I think a doctor does not want to use it. AI must be seamless. It should be work automatically in the background, because in China the doctor is very busy. So easy to use AI is the key. Yeah, this is my views.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Professor. And then, what's your view, President Ho?
尊敬的大会主席和几位院士，非常感谢主持人提问。那么，人工 AI，伴随科技进步，已经深刻影响包括但不限于我们在内的全世界人们。正像当年互联网席卷全世界一样，必将深刻影响我们生活、学习，包括医疗。那么我在医院工作呢，也深刻感受到人工智能发展突飞猛进、日新月异的发展，给我们医疗整个流程、决策以及其他各个方面带来的好处。我们用3D 打印技术解决了骨科不规则骨的骨折、肿瘤的问题。我们用3D 打印解决了我们的腰椎、胸椎、颈椎疾病的问题。我们用3D 打印和数字孪生技术来解决我们肝脏手术的问题，使我们整个手术规划时间缩短40%，出血呢减少30%。那我们正在受益于人工智能给我们带来的巨大的益处，包括我们的临床决策包括我们甚至中医都引进了望闻问切当中引进了人工智能来看着我们的舌苔，通过舌苔的变化来判断阴阳寒热表里虚实，进行八纲辩证，然后推荐合适的饮品和保健以及药品。那么在这场深刻的变革当中，我个人的意见呢，就是在潮头永远是技术，永远实验室的突破，但是卫生如何与之协同仍然是我们面临的困惑。既懂医又懂技术，融合推动协同往前走，那么又要符合数据的安全、数据的规范和人类的伦理，我想呢，这是摆在我们面前的一大挑战。另外，我也简单介绍一下我们云南省的省情。云南省呢，处于中国的西南边陲，陆地面积呢是39.4万平方公里，丘陵、半丘陵、山区占到94%。 那么历代勤奋的云南人民啊，在那里耕耘作业，也建成了我们小康社会。那么在这个全体的云南人民的努力下呢，我们固守着4060公里的边防线，我们同越南、老挝等国毗邻，山水毗邻。那么在这样一个多山、高原、民族这样一个相对生产力发展不均衡的地区，如何利用人工智能来实现我们党中央提出来的小病不出村，大病不出县，未来可期。这是我的发言，谢谢。
Yeah, thank you, President Wu and President Ho. I think your point of view is echo what actually Professor Das mentioned, that AI technology actually is important and then can be applied in many areas in the clinical practices. But however, I think that it's not going to replace physicians, and that is also important how we can make sure. I think the technology developed in the lab and will be translated into the clinical usage. Okay, thank you very much. And then next question goes to Professor Mallet. And then it's the question about role of AI in fundamental science research. And then I think the research work by you and your team is at molecular level to identify complex function in biology, for example, protein function. What do you think about the role of AI in basic science research? Is there any successful case of AI-empowered research, particularly in your field? In what ways do you expect AI to empower basic science research in the coming future? Professor Mallet.
That's for me?
Yeah.
Oh, I should have been paying more attention.
Yeah. Shall I repeat the question?
No.
Yeah.
I was kidding. I'm going to try. There's always such positive things to say about AI, and I feel like I'm coming to the party to throw cold water on it a little bit. But at least from let's talk generally about AI and drug discovery. And there's a lot of hype. I have no success to tell you about. And if we focus more specifically on antibiotics, we're in the crisis that we're in with antibiotics for several reasons, but an important one, there's several factors. There's really not much of an incentive for pharma to develop new antibiotics. They've largely, the big companies, walked away from it. So if AI had a way of incentivizing pharma to get back into the business, I would say that would be a success. I don't know how they do that, how it could do that. Why did pharma walk away? Antibiotics cure, so there's no chronic treatment. There's a financial disincentive there. Even though we in the developed world are seeing bugs that are resistant, they emerge often from places who can't afford to pay for it, another disincentive. The other thing is the resistance problem, and because of that, and some of you are physicians, if we discovered a new one, you don't want to use it. You want to keep it on the shelf as a last resort. So all of those things add up to a pretty bleak kind of market. So how could AI help that? Well, I'm also pessimistic about yet another small molecule antibiotic where we do microbiology not on a plate in the lab, but in the human population. We know there's going to be resistance. And, if I wanted to be a little bit irreverent, I would use the term like I usually use for medicinal chemists that have a molecule that works, and then they just make analogs of it. And my view of that is it's methyl, ethyl, butyl, futyl, because in the end, they end up with yet another molecule where the bug is resistant. So what I see from a fundamental science point of view of the development of the next generation of antibiotics, I actually would like to step completely away from the small molecule approach. You'll find a new one that works. It'll work for a short period of time, and we'll have resistance to it. It's just, that's how biology works. We can't defeat that. instead to use artificial intelligence with all that we're learning about the proteins involved in biological function, to look for new targets. To look for new targets that, given our ability to predict resistance, might develop resistance more slowly, ideally very slowly. And there are some ideas that are being bounced around out there that would benefit from what AI can do to analyze complex metabolomics of a pathogen and perhaps help in the fundamental science in that way.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Professor Mali. I think it's really, I think that innovation starts from science, right? So what you just shared with us, just to reemphasize, I think the importance that, you know, industry, academia, and hospital, we need to work together, and then to find the treatment that, you know, can benefit patient. And that actually set up for the next question about the industry, academia, hospital synergy for AI medtech innovation. That's for all the panelists. So what core demands do you have for industry partners? And then in terms of AI product customization, clinical validation, and also post-launch iteration. 所以这个问题也是给所有的嘉宾们，就是在人工智能医疗技术创新的产学研医协同合作中，各位对产业合作伙伴在人工智能产品定制化、临床验证以及上市后迭代优化方面有哪些核心需求？We may again start from Professor Das.
Yeah, I mean, any development has to be tested, and it's more rigorously tested by a third party. It's very important that you develop one AI-based product or some prediction tools, but it has to be customized for different populations and rigorously validated that it is effective in that particular populations. There should be also monitoring from the industry to see whether this is actually effective in that populations. And if there is any change, there should be a flexible AI so that you can easily tweak it to make it customized for that particular population. That is something I would like to emphasize. Second thing is, essentially, you know, all these things you have to have, I've been telling that there should not be a bias. So to avoid the bias, there should be either you use region-specific data sets for a country-specific data sets. Otherwise, you use a global data sets which is applicable to everybody. If you don't do that, I think it will be very difficult to implement an AI tool developed in an European country to an Asian country, because the host determinant, genetic determinant are completely different, and they may not really go hand in hand. So those things probably has to be considered, and we need help from the industry to somehow implement it.
Okay. Thank you, Professor Das. So what's your view, President Wu?
Okay. I'm the president of our hospital, and I'm also a colorectal surgeon. So I do research some work about the AI. I often discuss with my partner, and I have 3 expectations for my partner. First one is come to us early. Don't just write code in your office. Come to the hospital. Understanding the real clinical need is the most important step. And secondly, real-world testing. We don't just need high accuracy in the lab. We need the AI to work well on complex, real patients, and keep updating. Medical knowledge changes fast. So our doctor learn the medical knowledge forever. I think the AI is similar too. So we need a long-term team to listening to the doctor and update the AI software to make the AI smarter every day. So this is my some views.
Yeah, thank you, President Wu. 侯院长，您这边有一些什么观点吗？
谢谢。我个人关注以下几个方面。第一，我们卫生行业应用人工智能，肯定是不能独立于人工智能本身的发展。所以，怎么吸引更多的资本，怎么吸引更多的力量来关注医疗卫生这个行业？有足够的资本、足够的人力、足够的投入、足够的算力、足够的电力支持，我们的人工智能才能取得质的飞跃。那么，伴随着我们医疗服务应用，只能是应用场景发生变化，这是第一个方面我比较关注怎么来吸引更优秀的企业，吸引更庞大的资金和更优秀的专家学者力量来投入到医疗相关的场景的开发。那么第二个就是数据的标准。那么现在浩如烟云一般的数据大量汇集，怎么来进行数据的清洗？数据标准从一开始就注定了它是一定是非常重要的，以及格式以及所有的相应的一些框架的东西这个是在设计之初都应该思考。第三个呢，我希望呢它更接地气，它的学习能力能够在与患者、与医生、与护士、与医技人员的交互当中呢，能够迅速的成长，能够更开放，能够更亲和。那么最后一个方面呢，就是全周期的迭代，全周期的一个更新，也就是成本问题，它要低成本，因为包括中国在内，包括印度，包括其他发展中国家，考虑成本还是最大的重要的一个因素我就讲这么几点。
Yeah, thank you, President Ho. So, Professor Mali, anything to add?
Just a brief comment, and again, I'll keep it focused on what AI could be sort of an immediate benefit in the microbiological infectious disease space. And Professor Das at the beginning talked about the various experimental things they do, sequencing, proteome analysis, and I sort of had this dream that, well, first of all, that's where AI can make a difference. It can speed things up. It can simply look at images of bacteria and look at the kinds of data that could be generated and say, okay, this is the bug, this is how many of them are there, and we don't think it's going to be resistant to this particular drug. Wouldn't it be great if industry stepped in and sort of standardized that so that there was not only a national for each of our countries way to do it, but maybe even an international platform that we could all use, that we trusted, and we could share that not only data, but bring treatments to people faster. I think that's the real place right now where AI could make a difference in infectious disease. And why don't we have industry partner with us and help us and create the kind of platforms so that it isn't a flood of data that people who aren't trained to handle it know what to do with it. That's.
Yeah, thank you all. I think just try to summarize what you just shared with the audience. I think at least, everything needs to start with the clinical insights, and we need to try to come up with something universal, or we also need to think about the differences across different geographies. But it is very important in terms of AI. I think the fast iteration is critical, and to make sure that it will continue to improve. And next question, again, maybe given the time, probably the last question, and then for all the panelists again. And the question is the cross-region AI healthcare adoption and the system adaptation. So each region actually has its unique healthcare systems, funding models, and the cultural context. So what unique best practices have emerged in your region for AI healthcare adoption, such as public-private partnerships in the US, hierarchical medical system integration in China, or academic industry collaboration in India. So which practices are replicable globally and what local factors must be considered? So let me just briefly translate in Chinese. 所以就不同的地区，就这个问题可能是最后一个问题，就是问所有的这个嘉宾，就不同地区拥有独特的医疗体系、资金模式以及文化背景，在各自区域的人工智能医疗落地应用中已形成哪些特色和最佳实践？比如美国的公司合作伙伴模式、中国的分级诊疗体系融合、印度的产学研协作等，哪些实践具备全球可复制性，又必须兼顾哪些本土特色因素？ So again, let's start from Professor Das.
Right. I mean, in anything implementation in a highly populated country is a different kind of challenge. So in India, we have several programs coming up. One is called John AI. It's something like AI for the population, where they are trying to reach the help of Niti Aayog. That's actually our planning commission, along with the industry partners, Apollo hospitals, and then trying to reach out to the rural areas. So make this AI affordable for the rural people, something like an handheld machines where they can actually predict whether this person have, looking at the cough, looking at the sound of the cough, they can predict whether this could be a TB or not, or something like without touch, detect some of those parameters to find out whether there is a breast cancer possibility or not. So those are the things that India is trying to implement. There is also an effort to have, we have a program called Ayushman Bharat Digital Program, so where we try to use this infrastructure and trying to modify it and upgrade it so that it can actually accept and then finally get it into a real utility mode. But it's going to take some time because, as we said, that there will be some of this, they're still in infancy and a lot of hiccups we are facing. So once we can handle those, I think we'll probably be able to reach the public.
Yeah. Thank you, Professor Das. And President Wu?
This question involves a wide range of area. So I answer in Chinese. 我认为这个中国的优势就是我们有大量的数据，大量的病人，那么这个让我们的 AI 可模型在有充足的平台的前提下面会发展得很快，而且我们的准确性非常高，这是很多可能这个在病例资源数量比较少的这种国家，可能这是我们的优势。那么我们的最佳实践也就是基于我们的叫做赋能基层，因为中国的这个医疗医院一般来说我们就三级医院，就头部的大型的这个3甲医院。那么第二类就是一般的县市级地区医院，第三类就基层医院。那么就像我们的头部的大型的这种医院，它会联合一些在 AI 技术发展非常快的一些公司，在国家政策的扶持下面，有充足的资金的前提下面，会开发出很多专病的诊断或者一些手术导航的各种模型，还有一些检查的一些，包括我们远程手术、我们远程的检查等等这些。那么这些技术是可以应用于我们偏远的一些山区、一些基层医院，让这些医院也能够享受到一些来自顶级医院一些医疗技术比较成熟的一些治疗的方案。那么这就是我们赋能基层的一个非常好的优势，来解决我们国家这个非常广阔、人口非常多、一种医疗资源的不平衡的这个目前的现状。AI 是非常重要的一个手段。那么，所以我个人认为这个我们中国的 AI， 它应该除了这个锦上添花之外，更重要的这个功能应该是雪中送炭，帮助我们基层医院提高医疗技术，让广大的老百姓来享受更优质的医疗服务。好，谢谢。
Thank you, President Wu. 侯院长。
主持人，很显然，在包括但不限于人工智能服务与临床业务这样技术的发展， 世界各国都在奋勇争先。毫无疑问呢，像中美等包括欧盟在内的有关的实验室、有关的团队正在激烈的竞争DeepSeek 的出现横空出世，就给世界带来的震动，就说明这一点。也就是说，在研发的路上，大家都体现一个殊途同归吧。激烈的竞争当中，有方法和技术的共享，但是其根本目的最终都是为了改变人类让人类生活更加美好。但在这个过程当中呢，可能充满了竞争这是我想说的第一个。第二个呢，我们必须要尊重差异每个国家都有每个国家的国情。正如刚才我们小建院长讲，我们国家人口众多地域和经济社会发展不均衡。我想呢，在这样一种社会形态，在世界很多国家都存在。那么我们要结合我们当地的实际，结合我们的资金情况我们和美国不一样美国是资金筹资我们是以政府为主。引导政府资金引导，那么社会资金也广泛投入。那么我们想呢，还是要产生可复制的经验，就像刚才小建院的第三个呢，就是我想呢，就是最终还是要考虑友好开放这样一种可复制的东西出来之后，来接地气的符合本地实际的一种推广。最终的目的是推动我们医疗质量提升医疗越来越安全，成本越来越低惠及所有的群众谢谢。
Thank you. So finally, Professor Mallet.
Well, I'm going to save you some time. I'm not a clinician and I'm not in a hospital, so I don't really have anything to add to this.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you all the panelists. I think this is the end of today's panel discussion. I think today we discussed a lot about what AI can do in addressing the most complex healthcare issues. And then as Professor He highlighted in his opening speech, I think there are a lot of work we need to do and then in order to better serve patients. So if there's one thing I would like the audience and then to take away is absolutely that requires collaboration. Collaboration across academia, hospital, and industry. So as well, collaboration across different geographies in US and India and China, you name it. Thank you all. Thank you.